Continue on with Georgia. We'll ask Coach White for just a couple of general thoughts on the game. Then we'll take your questions just for the two student athletes, and then we'll excuse them back to the locker room and then finish up questioning with Coach. So, Coach, would you begin?
Yeah, congratulations to Oklahoma. I thought they played really well, shot it really well. Had made 10 threes at halftime, of course, spread us out. Moved it well, defended well, took some timely charges against us on the interior, played with toughness, played with a high-level sense of urgency. We fought. We did some good things, offensively and defensively, not enough, obviously, to advance. Unfortunately, we break the four-game streak that we had. We were hoping to get to 5 in advance. Thought we could really be competitive here in this tournament, and we were, but going home a little bit earlier than we had hoped. That said, this team's accomplished a lot, and we're ready to get a little bit of rest and move on to the next thing, get prepared for the next thing, and feel good about opportunities right around the corner. We're excited for Sunday, and we'll be prepared to go to battle.
All right, we'll take questions for either of the student athletes. Raise your hand, and we'll get one of the floor mics to you. Let's go ahead and start second row in the middle.
Yeah, Jordan Hill, Dogs 24/7. Question for Asa. It felt like when Silas had to sub out with like 5 minutes left that Oklahoma was able to take advantage. They had like a 14-0 run. What did you feel like was sort of the key to Oklahoma making that run and just the struggles you guys had trying to score, trying to keep up during that run?
Yeah, Silas for us, he's an impact on both sides of the court, offensively and defensively. We just didn't key in on our details, and they took advantage of that.
Next question, second row.
Anthony UGAsports.com. Silas, as the coach was kind of saying a second ago, you're sitting here now, you're 20-12. We just went through a crazy season of a crazy schedule. Just kind of what are your thoughts right now as you kind of look back at that and now wait until Sunday to see what happens?
I would say, obviously, we took a tough one tonight. You don't never want to lose a game. You always want to win as many as you can. But I would say just looking back over the course of this season, I think we went through a lot of adversity. We had positives and negatives. And I think just going to that I would say that Florida game, like I think we came off 2 4-game losing streaks. Like just to see the guys' morale, I think after we lost to Auburn, like going into that Florida game, on Sunday we had a lift and everybody was still up in great spirits. We were in there chanting together in the weight room. So I think like just this team's camaraderie and the way we came together in the back half of this season, just being able to go 4-0, I think it was great, man, just to see myself and my team just grow over those couple months. And especially these last few weeks, I think we just made a big jump. And I think we just, although we lost this one, I think we're just looking ahead and seeing where we're going to be and just be ready to go 1-0 at the next chance that we can.
All right, next question in the center aisle on the second row.
Elijah Campbell, WNKT in Columbia. Silas, Oklahoma hit a ton of threes in that first half, and it looked like they were really moving the ball well. Just from a defender's perspective, what were they doing really well to kind of create a lot of those open looks?
I would just say they kind of went 4 guards around 1 big. They kind of started spreading us out. It started early. I think they hit – Fierce hit a couple tough shots, and Moore hit a couple tough shots. Obviously Moore has been shooting the piss out of it lately, him and Fierce. So I think they just capitalized on some of our mistakes. As a defender, it's hard. I thought I'm a guy that's a high-level defender, just seeing those shots go in. But at some point you have to give something up, and I think they capitalized on us just being able to hit those shots. And like I said, they hit big-time shots. They hit 10 in the first half, so obviously, you got to live with something, and credit to those guys working on their game. You don't never want to knock anybody, but credit those guys. They stepped up and hit big-time shots.
Next question, second row.
Yeah, Silas, another productive game for you offensively. What did you feel like was working on that end for you tonight?
I just felt like just being aggressive. I think when I'm aggressive towards the start of those games, a lot of teams have to kind of change their coverages, and that opens up everybody else to have more opportunities. Like I think a lot of teams have just changed with our flow after they make a bucket, just having to put 2 on the ball. That opens up other teammates. Like I think a couple times I was able to hit Samto, Asa in a short roll and be able to create those disadvantages on the backside for the defense. So I think just coming out being aggressive and then just being confident in myself and believing in myself, knowing that I had to command so much attention, it makes it easier for the guys on my team.
Got time for one more question. We'll take it right here on the second row on the left.
Mike Griffith, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Dog Nation for Ace. I guess is your first taste of tournament action, albeit a league tournament. Can you just talk about playing in this sort of environment at the SEC tournament?
Yeah, it's just a great opportunity to play the game I love with my brothers. Unfortunately, we didn't go as far as we wanted to. But, I'm just blessed to be here, and we'd rather take this knock now than knock on in the NCAA tournament. So we're going to use this as fuel to the fire and get back to it.
All right, we'll excuse the student athletes. You can return to the locker room. And we'll continue on with questions for Coach White. So raise your hand and we'll get one of the remote mics to you. Start center aisle, second row.
Yeah, Mike, kind of the same question I asked Asa. It seemed like when Silas had to sub out with his fourth foul, it kind of just changed the offense. Just how detrimental was that, especially with the game on the line right there?
It certainly didn't help us when Silas went out, but he had fouls because of Oklahoma's offense, their ability to draw fouls, put pressure on the rim and our entire defense. We've had times, though, when Silas is out of the game where it's flowed a little bit better for us offensively, and tonight it was a combination of things, offensively and defensively, for them to make that run when he was out. Our backcourt collectively is better than we played tonight, and it's got to be better next week. But I thought that he and Blue did some good things. I thought both of them played well. And I thought Asa was Asa, with a tremendous motor. You look down, and tonight was another example of thinking post-game. The ball didn't touch his hands a lot for obvious reasons. We tried to they play small for 72 hours. It's about pounding the thing in the post and getting paint touches and drawing fouls, and we got to get it in there, and you rep it and rep and rep it. And they did a really good job of limiting our bigs' touches at the rim, him in particular. And then when they did get it, they took a few charges on us, on the interior where, again, we're trying to take advantage of our size, and we just couldn't. It was a huge factor in the game. Circling back to my initial point with Asa, you feel like he didn't touch it much, but then he goes and gets 8 offensive rebounds. When you look at the stat sheet, 17 rebounds total. It just speaks to his motor, his intensity level, in a game where we're calling plays for him and couldn't get it to him. Just didn't do a great job passing the basketball to the interior. We'll continue to work on it.
Next question, second row in the middle.
Yeah, Mike, kind of a two-parter here. One, tournament time, Fears just kind of has one of those nights. It kind of looks like a first round or two. And then two, you were able to do a lot with your week off. And this time that you have between now and the tournament, is it fine-tuning, or do you add a little bit more to the toolbox for a young team?
No, great question, Mike. It's potentially you add something or two. I should just go on record in case anyone watches this and just talk about all the different zones we're going to throw in and all the stuff that the next opponent's got to prepare for. But more importantly, it is fine tuning. For instance, you run a play and you run across screen to throw it into Asa, and you've got a guard with a save bounce on the wing and he's open, and didn't have enough poise just to wait for him to be a little bit more open. And we're throwing it to the guy at the top of the key who's not open. Little things like that. We had a post pass early in the game where Fears got a steal off not holding a seal. He was on one side of our post offensive player, and we should have thrown the ball to the other side, away from the defender. We're a team that has struggled with passing it, with value in it all year. We've gotten better. We're sitting here with 12. We had 12 turnovers tonight, which is a lot better than we had earlier in the season, of course. And 12 was enough for us. But they're 12 threes, of course. And their ability to get downhill, especially late when they got us in all the switches, which was out of necessity for us just to try to slow them down. They got a little bit stagnant there at times in the second half, but we felt the necessity to do that. Late first half, we just they put us in peril with hitting their bigs on shorts and dives, and Wagyu, I thought, did a really good job. Moore's terrific, and I'm rambling about all kinds of stuff, Mike. I apologize, but Moore's an underrated guy in his ability to stretch you offensively as like a big guard, and he doesn't get exposed defensively. You know, he's battling with our 6'10s and holding his own, you know, to a certain extent. So he's a really valuable guy for the Sooners, and they're a good team.
I guess just Fears. I mean,
Oh, Fears, I'm sorry. Fantastic.
Like that, what can you do?
Oh my goodness, the separation live bounce threes are one thing, and he hit, I want to say, a couple well defended deep threes in the first half. I don't know what he did there in the second half from three, but then he draws you out there a little bit deeper. You know, you push up on him, and then he's got a burst, but he's got great strength. You know, for a point guard, he's a wide-bodied, strong kid who has a high level ability to finish. I mean, he made some individual plays against a pretty good defensive team. I mean, I shouldn't say pretty good. We're a good defensive team, and he made some big plays in isolations there in the second half. Just couldn't get enough stops.
Got time for a couple more questions. Let's go to the center aisle on the second row there, third row.
Elijah Campbell from WNKT in Columbia. Coach, you mentioned the small ball lineup giving you trouble. Silas kind of mentioned it too. On the defensive side of the ball, what's something I guess you wish you guys maybe did a little differently to try to either maybe contest some of those threes, or maybe try to avoid some of the issues that they're spacing?
Defensively for us, that's a tricky one. I don't have a great answer for you. I mean, if we were heavier in the gaps, they would have got more threes off. They hit 12 threes. If we screamed about disallowing, negating threes, making shooters bounce the ball more than we did, they would have had more layups. I mean, they just, when they were in space, they got to the rim, made plays, Fears in particular. When you got a guy in a rhythm like that, who's playing with that level of confidence, who's making those type plays, and the level of diversity in those plays, you know, post bounce, 15-foot fades, 25-foot separation threes, drawing fouls, shot fake, pivot, step through, draw another foul, get to the rim with his speed. Then you overhelp, let's keep him out of the paint, and then Moore hits a couple threes on. They're just really, when they're in that type of rhythm, they're really tough to defend, you know. And you go into halftime with them having hit 10 threes, just didn't get off to a great start. That said, when we watched them closely at halftime, they had a couple like really good looks. Their first three was off a missed rotation right across from our bench. It was a mistake on us. That said, the reason we didn't rotate was because we would have had to leave number 2, and I don't want to butcher his Godin, who's a terrific shooter in his own right. So they just put you in peril with some of those things, and with the number of shooters that they have. Middle ball screens with Wagyu, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's terrific at separating from his defender to sprint to a ball screen and then separating to dive to the rim. Made good decisions in some of those short rolls, and he's got really good speed. And they've got senior veteran guards in Miles and Elvis who they can go create one. I want to say Elvis hit a huge one at the end of a really tough possession for us, a really good defensive possession that ended in a made three. Again, rhythm dribble, left-handed, kind of a step back, contested one. I mean, some of them were contested, you know, but that's what good offenses do. And those guys, They move it, they space you, they play with confidence, and they make good decisions, you know, in space. And they're going to be a tough out, especially offensively.
Your last question had a hand down here. Go ahead, Anthony.
And Mike, I know it won't become official till Sunday, but what making the NCAA tournament mean for your team, your program in the third year?
That would be incredible. That's what it's all about. That's why we all came to Georgia, all of us, to build something. And we just lost to an NCAA tournament team who has the potential to beat most teams in the country. And analytically, it's our worst loss. I mean, think about that. That's how good our league is. That's how good our schedule's been. We went in today in the SEC tournament, and of all the teams that played today, the metrics will tell you that we're the best team. The numbers will tell you that. Obviously, we just got beat, you know, by a team that played better than we did. And I hope that they make a great run. I hope all of our SEC teams make a big run here in March. But the level of opponents that we've played all year, the fact that we got 20 in the regular season, the fact that we played Marquette pretty close, you beat St. John's, you win your last 4, you're playing as well coming to the SEC tournament as anyone in the SEC, in the best league in the history of college basketball. Our metrics are terrific. We continue to improve throughout the entire year. We've got a ton of youth and not much winning experience. And these guys learned how to obtain some of that winning experience. And I'm proud for our group. It's my favorite group I've ever been around. I could literally call practice at midnight tonight. We'd probably have pretty good practice. That's just the way these guys are. So I'm anxious to get back to work with them.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Yep.